Tired of doom scrolling? Time for a dose of awesome. 5 Good News Stories is your happy place, where underdogs become champions, crossing guards become legends, and impossible dreams come true. We're serving up 5 fresh reasons to believe in humanity. From world records to cute animal stories, to that guy who turned his pizza shop into a homeless shelter. These are the stories that'll make you go, wait, what? That's amazing! Ready for your good news fix? Follow 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts, because let's face it, we could all use more awesome in our lives. The number 5 Good News Stories.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White Smoke, the path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Johnny Mack, host of Daily Comedy News. This is the Friday episode. I just wanted to talk to you guys before we get into the episode. As I put the show together, and you'll hear me say this during the recording, as I put the show together, I was like, ooh, all these stories are really angsty. I hope this episode doesn't annoy people. I hope this episode doesn't turn people off. It gets into politics. It gets into some social issues. And as I explained in the episode, I just put the stories together and I go, okay, what's going on today? And, sometimes I'll be like, oh, that can wait till tomorrow. And, this could go next week. The show's getting long. Let me bump that. You hear me do that all the time live. But as I put the show together today, I was like, oh, this is going to be very angsty. And I hope, nobody who listens to the show every day goes away going, the show's getting really political. So I actually recorded Friday and Saturday back to back. Is today's show angsty? Yeah, it is. Is tomorrow's show angsty? Not at all. Went out of my way to make tomorrow just fun and light and silly. Today, a little serious. So that's just my little preamble. If you don't enjoy today's podcast, I get it. But, I'm here every day. So, if you don't like today's, hit stop and come back tomorrow and you'll like tomorrow's episode. Okay, let's hit it.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey man, what's up? I'm Johnny Mack with your daily comedy news. More from Andrew Schulz. In that interview with the LA Times, they were curious how Andrew feels a special like life raises the bar for Andrew's comedy. Great question. Andrew said, I don't know. I'm always just trying to do something different. I think that's the exciting thing for me. Before this special, I was never personal in my comedy at all. Like, I didn't think my life was interesting. And then when it was tough for us to get pregnant, I think the only thing I could think of, I just couldn't think of anything else, and nothing really mattered. And then talking about this got really exciting on stage. I was like, maybe I could tell stories. I never really told stories on stage. I was like, what if I could make this whole story? And then I didn't want to tell anybody it was a story because I didn't want there to be one-man show expectations, and I wanted them to come in thinking, like, this is hard-hitting stand-up for an hour and have that expectation, but also see if I could have a story layered onto it. Spoiler, part of the special, Andrew jokes about collecting a sample, if you know what I mean. The LA Times was curious. As you were collecting a sample, did you think there could be a joke there? Andrew said, yeah, sometimes you're in a moment, you're like, oh, this is kind of funny. And then sometimes you're just talking about it on stage, like you're really frustrated by something, you're embarrassed by something, and you feel very vulnerable. So you're like, okay, let me share this, and then maybe I'll find something funny in it. And then there's other parts where you're just so miserable in the moments you can't even think about comedy just yet. So I think it was both for sure. New topic. Hey, Andrew, what made you decide facial hair was part of your look? Andrew said, not all of us can grow a beautiful thick beard, okay? Some of us, this is all we got. Mustache. I have no clue. I think this is all I got. To be fair, Andrew warns us, though, you can't go too short. That's a big no-no. Be prepared for a lot of rough looks from people. Chris DiStefano told Fox News Digital he hasn't seen American pride on such a large scale since the aftermath of 9/11. Chris said, I think our country, honestly now, personally, I know that it's very divided, but I think that, and it might be because of exhaustion. If you think the other way, I do think we're going to make a concentrated effort to try to come together a little bit more. Chris said, I mean, you look at this Trump presidency, the very early stages of it versus the last Trump presidency. I mean, people were trying as much as they could to get anything they could on him to remove him. People screaming in the streets, so mad. The first 3 months of his presidency, but it's like, yeah, there's issues that people are trying, but there's no like major upheaval because I think people are like, all right, it's so exhausting to do it the other way. So why don't we just try? I feel like we're unifying more as a nation. There's more American pride in our country than I remember. I haven't felt American pride like this since, honestly, like 9/11. Like after that, like right after that, there was so much American pride. Everyone came together and now I feel it again, which I think is good. Chris said, I understand America is just lines on a map like every other country, but there's something about having pride as a nation that's just better for everyone. It's better for us. I'm not saying America is the only be-all, end-all. I'm saying it's good to have pride in where you're from. Is when I go to other countries, they have pride in where they're from, and you see their flags flying, and they're proud of something, and it doesn't mean, hey, we're number one. In Mexico, it's like, be prideful. Be proud to be Mexican. Be proud to be American, and we can work together. Chris continued, for me, comedians, I think we like to call it as it is, and perception is reality. I'm in the middle. I'm Chrissy Gray Zone. I think even Trump's efforts, like who knows if the executive orders will pass, who knows if we'll buy Greenland or Canada is going to be the 51st state, who knows, right? Could just be wild things he's saying, but I do think what it's doing is trying to reassert an American dominance, which again is just good for our pride as a nation. The combination of stories today has me a little worried that some of you are going to go away and be like, this show's gotten really political. I just do whatever comes out, and that there's a couple stories coming down in the first half here that are also political-ish. It's just the zeitgeist today. So let me just do a palate cleanser here. We'll do something else. But again, I don't wake up and be like, I'm going to put out a political message today. It's not what the show is. Anyway, friend of the show, Jason Zinnemann, talked to Bill Burr. Jason writes in the Times, I begin to tell Burr there was something he often talks about that resonates with me. When he cut me off, Bill went, whores? Whores, he responded, leaning back and chuckling in a gray hoodie and jeans. That sentence almost sounds like Norm Macdonald, right? Whores, he responded, leaning back and chuckling in a gray hoodie and jeans. No, I responded, I'm not talking about whores, fully appreciating how funny it sounds for a New York Times journalist to say this in an interview. Yes, Jason Zinnemann writing, no, I'm not talking about whores is funny. Jason writes, I wanted to talk about male anger, a longtime theme of Burr's stand-up. I won't drop into a half-assed Burr impression because I want to catch Jason's words here. He's quoting Burr, who said, let me ask you this. He said, flashing an intense stare. You've been with me for an hour. Do I seem like an angry person? Jason writes, I pause. He did appear a little annoyed when I picked a fight with him about a bit he does about women's sports. Burr is not the only one who likes messing with people, but alone in conversation, Burr seems like the same guy he is in front of a crowd, only more cerebral and mild-mannered. Burr said, there's a lot of truth in the guy you see on stage, but you're just looking at me from one side. Jason writes, the side I see here is a guy with anger issues who learned how to control them. Yeah, there's some sort of, I almost suspect it's a PR campaign. And Burr's got a special out a week from today. You're going to see a lot of Burr has grown up and changed his ways and learned how to become a better man. That seems to be the messaging on the mainstreaming of Bill Burr, that he became a better man, which is fun. We should all become better people than we were yesterday. I strive to do that. Probably like you, there are things in my past that I'm not too proud of. I don't have a time machine. All I could do is be better today than yesterday. So I'm not saying Burr's a jerky face for being a better guy, but there does seem to be some sort of campaign around that messaging is what I'm picking up. Burr said, I want to lose my edge. I don't want to go through life angry. And here's the thing. If you have an edge, you never lose it. I can tap into that whenever I need it. You bark at the other dog and make it go away. I know how to do that. Jason writes, when I tell him the right-wing media figure Ben Shapiro said Bill Burr was going woke, Burr shot back, all he knew is if you put woke on what I said, he'd make more money. I don't know who he is, but that guy is a self-enjoymenter. I teach this to my students. I could just read the phrase there. I mean, the phrase made the New York Times, so it's not the dirtiest phrase in the world, but sometimes trying to keep it clean makes it a little funnier. And that's one of the reasons I do the kind of things I do where I won't say a phrase that made the New York Times in print. Anyway, Bill Burr's special Drop Dead Years premieres on Hulu March 14th. Now, my question for Hulu is, if I hit play, am I going to see the entire special? Or with like 13 minutes to go, is the automation going to cut off the special and I just don't get to see the closer? I mean, this is a fair question, Hulu. Perhaps your publicist could get back to me and I'll ask them. Oh, this paired up nicely and I didn't do this on purpose. Remember when Jason Zinnemann wrote Burr's not the only one who likes messing with people? Someone who liked to mess with people, Patrice O'Neill. I've spoken about this in the past. I did not enjoy the man's company. His whole thing was messing with you and Great, dude. I'm here to just be a professional broadcaster and knock out this segment that we're going to do today. I don't need you messing with me. Just be a professional. Didn't like Patrice O'Neal. Sorry he passed away. I understand the New York City comedians revere him. Didn't like the man. The 12th annual Patrice O'Neal Comedy Benefit Concert is a night of stand-up comedy to honor the memory of Patrice O'Neal. This year, performances by Rosebud Baker, Greer Barnes. I'm seeing a lot of buzz on Greer all of a sudden. DC Benny, Bill Burr, Tim Dillon, Nimish Patel, Sean Patton, and Rich Voss. It's at the New York City Center. All tickets $75, including fees, May 18th. Doors open at 7, performance at allegedly 7:30. Nice lineup there. Tracy Morgan coming back to NBC and teaming up with Tina Fey. In Untitled Comedy, Tracy Morgan plays a disgraced football player on a mission to rehabilitate his image. Tina Fey is the executive producer on the sitcom. It'll be written by 30 Rock alums Robert Carlock and Sean Means. So that is telling me NBC wants to be in the Tina Fey business. Very interesting. Lorne Michaels, SNL. You see where I'm going there? They want to be in the Tina Fey business. I mean, it's a good business to be in, but just interesting. Because I'm not sure in the 2025-2026 media landscape, a Tracy Morgan NBC sitcom is, what the world is into these days. Nothing against Tracy Morgan. It's just NBC sitcom doesn't mean what it meant in the 90s. That's all I'm saying there. Tracy will also star in Paramount Plus's upcoming comedy The Crutch, which is a spinoff from The Neighborhood. Tracy plays Francois Frank Crutchfield, a.k.a. Crutch, a Harlem widower, whose empty nest plans are put on hold after his millennial son and free-spirited daughter move back home. It's expected to premiere later this year. All right, some of the angsty stuff that had me nervous as I put the show together. Michael Rappaport's in the news. Now, anytime I mention Michael Rappaport, and I've brought this up in the past, it's always like an angsty, angry controversy. It's never like Michael Rappaport went to the children's hospital. He gave out teddy bears. The nurses said he was the nicest man we ever met. It's never that. It's always something like this. From the Daily Wire, Michael Rappaport slammed a leftist Canadian politician for encouraging lawmakers to ban him from doing stand-up comedy shows in Canada. Rappaport made his opinions known in a column he wrote for the Free Press. Canada's New Democrat Party member Heather McPherson had referenced Rappaport's significant criminal history. I'm not familiar with that at all. Is that a thing? I'm not familiar with that at all. If you asked me, is Michael Rappaport a criminal? I would say absolutely not, but maybe I'm wrong. I Googled the phrase Michael Rappaport criminal. I don't see anything. Maybe I'm forgetting something. I'm going to type in Michael Rappaport crime. Google tells me on May 18th, 1997, Rappaport was arrested for harassing ex-girlfriend Lily Taylor and charged with 2 counts of aggravated harassment. A Page 6 article that says years before Michael Rappaport's court battle with Barstool Sports, the actor once pleaded guilty to harassing ex-girlfriend Lily Taylor. Okay. New Democrat Party member Heather McPherson referenced Rappaport's significant criminal history of Islamic-phobic speech, and tendencies towards inciting violence as reasons for her proposed ban of Michael Rappaport. She adds, "We're witnessing an alarming increase in Islamophobia in Canada and globally. All Canadians deserve to feel safe in our communities. New Democrats are calling on the Liberal government to deny entry to Michael Rappaport." She concluded by saying, "Hate has no place in Canada." Rappaport responded, writing, "I have no criminal history other than calling my ex-girlfriend Lily Taylor too many times in 1997. I'm not ashamed. I was in love. I have no outstanding warrants. I don't have any parking tickets. As far as race Islamophobia, my only phobia currently is of radical jihadists. I'll admit I have a phobia of anybody who wants to kill, hurt, or dehumanize Jews." The irony here is that McPherson in her post asserted that hate has no place in Canada, except of course when hate is directed towards Jews, which Canada apparently has no problem with. He linked that to a report which found, quote, 670% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in Canada since October 7th, 2023. Rappaport wrote some more things and then finished with, "If you're reading this, Heather, I have front row seats reserved for you and the New Democrats. That's a genuine offer." Another angsty one, this from AM New York. CJ is from Brooklyn and was having a wonderful day in Brooklyn, AM New York tells us. She and her husband went to an exciting fundraiser at her son's school before deciding to finish off a fun day at a local comedy club, right? They definitely want us to know the day was wonderful and it was a fun day. AM New York writes, she had no idea she'd end the night in tears after a comedian on stage performed a set of jokes culminating with one personal attack. I wasn't there, so I'm just going to omit the comedian's name. It is not a famous comedian. CJ told AM New York most of the comedians were fantastic, at least until a comedian in question took the stage after 10 p.m. and included a routine that focused on Jewish people and the Israeli-Hamas war in the Middle East. CJ explains he starts with how Jews must find Free Palestine really confusing because we love free stuff. Then he said, I don't know about you, but a Palestinian has never kept my security deposit. From a comedy standpoint, as a Roman Catholic recording a podcast in the basement, I don't know what faith this comedian is. I don't know what background this comedian is, but it's not like I haven't heard that sort of joke before. And I don't know the nuance of the joke. So the quote from the person who went to the show was, must find Free Palestine really confusing because we love free stuff. CJ identifies as Jewish. So is the we there the way the joke was told? So is this a Jewish comedian going, because we love free stuff? Or is CJ self-identifying and was the joke because they love free stuff? That I don't know. That would add some nuance to this story. CJ and their husband said they didn't find the jokes funny, but understood that it was comedy and hoped to move on to something else. Okay. But then apparently the comedian brought up the subject of slavery among Jews in history. I don't have any information about what that part of the set was about and what the material sounded like. CJ explains, at this point, I was getting visibly upset. I'm almost crying at this point. It's very sensitive. I've dealt with a lot of anti-Semitism over the last 508 or so days. CJ claims the comedian then said something, quoting the article here, along the lines of, and then quoting along the lines of what the comedian said, something like, why don't you go kill some more babies? This article says the audience laughed. CJ then broke down in tears and left the club. Edward Farrell is a spokesperson for the Williamsburg Comedy Club, told AM New York that the venue believes in free speech, especially on a comedy club stage, and will not be taking any action against the comedian. Williamsburg Comedy Club is a place for comics to take chances. Unfortunately, people occasionally get offended. That's out of our control. I hear jokes about many issues, topics, and groups in the club that I don't always agree with or laugh at. I will not censor any of the comics who we're lucky enough to have on our stage. A comedian made a joke, and I stand by his right to do so. CJ said, I would love an apology from the club. If they want to refund our ticket prices, that's great, but whatever. What I'd really like is for at least one person to see this and not support this comedian, and to warn other Jewish people that if you see this guy's name on a comedy lineup, don't go. The comedian is scheduled to do some more appearances. Heavy one today. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's go to Gossip Corner. Gossip Corner is always fun. Joe Koy. You remember Joe Koy? Scott, I'm doing the bit because this has been a heavy show. I've been trying to solve peace in the Middle East and Trump, and I got to do something funny. So Joe Koy, one time he hosted the Golden Globes. Remember this, Scott Beckett? Yeah. And he told this horrible, mean joke about Taylor Swift. Let's listen.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Anyway, last weekend, I've had to bounce this all week. Joe Koy was in D.C. This show's a mess today. I'm trying. Joe Koy was in D.C. last weekend, and he stopped by Purple Patch to gobble up delicacies from fellow Filipino chef Patrice Cleary. Apparently, Joe had some red snapper relleno with crab and mushroom adobo at the Eater 38. Some interesting fact-checking here. On Saturday night, Joe Koy told the crowd at the Capital One Arena that he's never had Filipino food like that before. Oh, but fact-check, Purple Patch had previously catered Joe Koy back in 2022. Is Joe Koy lying about what kind of Filipino food he eats? Investigation. This one's too serious. I gotta bounce this. All right, that goes to tomorrow. Shane Gillis, only the sixth most controversial thing I've talked about today. His SNL drew 4.275 million viewers and 895,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demo, which I've aged out of, compared with the most recent regular episode, which was Timothée Chalamet on January 25th. That was down 13.77% among total viewers and down 13.28% in the demo. However, it was a step up from the sixth most controversial person on today's podcast, Shane Gillis, when Shane hosted in February of 24. He was up 7.2% from the year before. However, with viewers aged 18 to 34, down 10.5%. Also, I saw they adjusted the Conan numbers. Let me pull that up. Conan Oscar ratings. Remember, they were saying earlier in the week it was slightly down. The Hollywood Reporter now saying, nope, it was slightly up, averaging 19.69 million viewers on ABC and Hulu. Of course, those of us watching on Hulu didn't get to see the end. Not that I'm mad about that or anything. The original reported number was 18.07. The 19.69 million viewers is about 200,000 more than the 19.49 for the 24 Oscars. Back before the pandemic, the 2020 Oscars drew 23.64 million viewers. And South by Southwest Comedy has kicked off. Let's see who's there tonight. It starts with Comedy Kickoff at 7 p.m. Jay Jordan, Bonnie McFarlane, Opie Alagbaju, Caitlin Palufo, who I'm seeing buzz on all of a sudden. If I were there at 7:30, you would find me at Elon Musk Disrupt Democracy LOL, subtitle James Adomian as Elon Musk. The description: interplanetary savior of advanced evolution, billionaire polymath genius, and supreme shadow president Elon Musk, asterisk, steps now into the light, along with his most feared advisors, to train the fierce fangs of the Doge goons upon Austin, Texas. The asterisk says, not actually Elon Musk. Great lineup here. James Adomian, Anthony Atamniwick, Matt Besser, Chad Damiani, Alex English, Christina Catherine Martinez, Natalie Palamides. Boy, Besser, Natalie, and Atamniwick and Adomian right there. Boy, what a great show. I'm sure we'll see some buzz on that next week online. At 9 o'clock, Three Girls, One Glass. Lisa Gilroy, Punky Johnson, Kristen Toomey, and Todd Glass. I see what you did there. Well-titled show. 10 o'clock, Only Murderers in the building. Killer Comics take the stage for a night of must-see stand-up. Greer Barnes, told you, seen his name ever. All of a sudden, Lynn Coplitz, Eddie Pepitone, Nick Thune. And that's long enough for a Friday. Bumping some things, so I got plenty free tomorrow, and I'm about to record tomorrow. So for me, see you in about 30 seconds. For you, see you tomorrow.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White Smoke, the path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're fascinated by UFOs, aliens, ghosts, demons, cryptid creatures like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Mothman, then I have the show for you. The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader. Each week, we investigate different claims of the supernatural and try to shed light into the darkness, bringing you the top guests and experts from around the world. Enter the fray. Then join me, Dave Schrader, your host, as we investigate all aspects and claims of the supernatural and paranormal. Listen on all of your favorite podcast platforms: Good Pods, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, Deezer, Player FM, Amazon Music, Audible, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. The answers to life's biggest questions and miracles and mysteries awaits you. So join me each week, 2 brand new episodes of the best in paranormal podcasting, The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader.